It wasn't really about making money. It was just about the passion of what I wanted to do.
If someone told you chill, you wouldn't listen. And I was so stretched, I collapsed.
All they care about is their projects. They don't care about what's been done before.
As a business owner, like, you need time to think.
Going through depression and stuff. This stuff is real.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
People attach how much money they have with their self-worth. And that's a very dangerous place to be in.
First and foremost, just introduce yourself. Who are you? What is that you do?
Yeah, so my name is Roneish Myers and I'm the founder of MoneyHeave, which is a financial wellbeing organisation. And basically, in a nutshell, what we do is help individuals to make, manage and multiply their money.
Jeez. Make, manage, multiply. Are we hearing this?
Yeah, and it's really about empowering individuals to take control of their finances and, achieve their goals and just not be burdened by their financial situation, really.
So what was the main sort of like catalyst to make you want to go on this journey in particular?
To be honest, I was working in the film and TV industry. So yeah, I studied at university and then I went into the corporate world and I was working for different organisations. And I think I just got to the point where I was tired of like just crunching numbers for an organisation. And I was on this quest of trying to seek out something more than what I was doing, and I couldn't really put my hand on it, but I just knew I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. I just felt there was more and I was getting frustrated at work. And even though I was doing very well and progressing and things like that, I just wanted more. So what I did was I left my job as a finance manager and then I went and spent some time in Ghana. And I was working as a consultant. I just wanted to like help people. Like, I don't know if that's even, I just wanted to help people. So I went over there. I also wanted to just know a bit more about history, Black history, my history. I chose Ghana, spent some time over there. And then, when I came back, I said to myself, okay, what, I just kept asking myself, like, what do you want to do? What do you like? Like, who are you, basically, you know? And I was like, okay, I like films. I do like numbers, but I don't want to just be crunching. So then that's when I went off and worked in the film and TV industry for a bit. And I thought that was going to be it for me. But then, I got to that point where I was in the role and everything, and then I just got those feelings again, so I knew it was time to like find something else. But I just kept going from job to job and I just felt like that was a problem. I know people do that, but for me it was like, that's not normal. There's something about me that likes short projects or things like that, so I just wanted to like explore that. And then I thought, you know what, I've studied for so long in accounting and finance, I'm not gonna lose this skill, but what is it that I like doing? And I just said, I like helping people. I want to be client facing. I didn't want to be like a financial advisor in that respect. And I was like, I just want to teach people, because I realised basically, especially when I was working in the film and TV industry, how little people knew about money. And we always would talk about money because it was always short contracts that people would have. So people were always anxious about the next job or money. Like, we always spoke about it. And so, that just kind of encouraged me. And I was already doing it without realising. And I remember being part of this community and someone had shared they needed help with their finances. And then I literally was like, I'm an accountant, I can help you. Jumped on a call and they were like, can you help me? Like, I've got no savings. I really find it hard to save. My credit score's bad. I get paid well, but I just can't see my money. And I was like, I can help you with your credit. I was in, like, at that time I was in I had been in my overdraft for so long, and like I had gotten myself out and I knew what that took to come out of debt. I had credit cards debt before. And so, I was like, we can do that. Like, I just, everything she said, I was like, I had done it and I just felt like, I can help. That's not even hard. I don't know. So that's kind of how it started. Did a very good job serving and helping her, and she just kept recommending me, and I didn't know this was even a thing. Like, I didn't know people would pay for it. And literally on that call she was like, well, how much is it? And I just made up a figure. Like, I did had no structure, no nothing, and she was like, okay, let's do it. And then over time, because she was my client for a little while, and then we just slightly increased the price with her. But yeah, after the first client, I saw the value. So my price just kept going up and up and up. But my first clients kind of helped me to build out what it would look like, what people need. So it's kind of like a bit of a test in a sense for me. And I think when you're starting a business, it's important to test the market and so forth. So that's kind of how we see it. And yeah, now we're more corporate focused. So we work with organizations where we help their staff become more productive, we educate them financially, and yeah, it's nice to be in a position to serve in that way, because for me the debt started when I was at university, and then I went into the corporate world with a job already with that pressure of how am I going to clear this and how am I going to, you know what I mean? I was already sort of minus, so I was starting with minus.
Yeah.
I
was just thinking, like, how long do you think it took for you to kind of like realize that this, like, the model that you're working with now in terms of like focusing on corporates, and even knowing that, the university being sort of like the gateway to make an actual real change, what was the thing that made you decide that that's the route that you want to go there?
Yeah, I think I've always been like a corporate girl. I've always seen corporate as like, wow, this big thing like before. Yeah. And it's not really like that as well. Like, that was my own thing that I needed to overcome. But I think from the get-go, I always wanted to work with organizations. And I think that's what really inspires me. Like, my energy when I get a deal with a company, probably with a company that I probably couldn't have applied for, because I know back in the day you needed to have certain GCSEs and this, that and the other. It just blows me away. I get this feeling inside. So I think you have to get to the point in your business to kind of understand where do you sit. The financial well-being space is massive, and I think you have to understand who you are as a person and where you also want to sit and who you want to serve. And so for me, I want to focus on that. But initially I started with individuals, and I still serve individuals. The difference is the corporate company pays, and also you're dealing with larger groups as well. And it's just nice because there's some people who genuinely need the help, but they don't have the money to pay you. And we are running a business, so someone needs to pay the bill.
It's kind of mad because it's like, obviously they haven't got the money to pay to get the advice, but they need to get their finances in check. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword in a way.
Exactly. So that's why I just like to go to the company or to the council. We've also worked with councils where we then go into communities and work with residents, which I'm very happy about. And we've been working with this year we've done quite a big project with a council, and it's just nice to see probably people who just wouldn't, I don't know, comes from maybe disadvantaged backgrounds who probably would never have these conversations, just being able to help them and just give them hope. And it's not just about money. I think sometimes when people come on this program, it's just they think it's just about budgeting and so and that, but it's so much more. And I think just sometimes hearing people's stories and just knowing that you've been a safe place or in a place of accountability, it fills my heart, And so, that's kind of why, one of the reasons why I like doing it. It's more than just money. And a lot of the times you find people have maybe been in a traumatic situation, and the program just empowers them to like take one step or go for that goal, or they didn't realize they could get on the property ladder. Or, sometimes people just hear things, maybe they've got one thing wrong with their credit score and they just, I can never get on the property ladder or something like that. And you're just like, It doesn't work like that, So it's just, even little things like that, it's just breaking those stigmas. We had, on one program that we were running, we had this guy, actually, I don't want to say that. Just say that. On one of our programs, we had a participant, a student, and a family member had died, and he still was showing up. And I think, I don't know,
That's mad, you know.
Yeah. And it was their son.
That's crazy.
So to know that we were able to provide a space that, despite something happening, it still was a place of refuge. I think, yeah, it's for me, it's just bigger. It's not just about how much money did you make. Don't get me wrong, we had clients who made money and things like that. But yeah, I think, yeah, this is just my service, my gift to the world that I believe I've been given. And I just wouldn't know what else to do. I think I've tried to, when there's been times where I may not have been able to see the result at the time, and I thought about, you know, on paper, it's like, maybe you should give up, you know. But I just knew, and I still know there's levels to this. And yeah, I just know, I believe this is the space I should be in right now. And I look forward to kind of what's next, really, and serving more people. So yeah, that's kind of us in a nutshell.
It's good to get the like a more broader picture, because obviously I've seen you speaking in as well, because that's one thing you haven't said about the public speaking, because you do your thing.
Yeah.
So talk to me about that kind of space, like, because I mean, we've known each other since when, 2020? Coming through the same thing, and I've seen like the way how everything's changed and pivot. So it's nice to kind of, first it's stuck from the virtual space, and then see it in real life. It's just like,
Yeah.
you can see the growth. So talk to me a bit about sort of like the public speaking, and you know, how do you feel like that has more of an impact rather than, or it makes more of an impact in comparison to just some of the stuff you might do, let's say on a one-to-one over the phone or online basis?
Yeah. So we have our workshops. So the workshops is more in-depth, topic driven. So we'll cover a particular area. For example, if we're speaking in front of people, there's more of a story, a messaging. Whereas when we have a workshop, we're getting deep and dirty, and we're getting all up in your business kind of thing. But when we're speaking, it's a bit more of an empowerment thing, and trying to move you or just open you up to something new. And I think it's important to do that, because I think when it comes to finances, and even me, sometimes we can be ignorant in terms of what's there to know. Like, I get paid this, I don't want to budget. Like, we can be sometimes
I feel like everyone's gone through that. Like, personally,
Even me.
Let me even share something, because I remember when I started my business, and it's just like, I was used to getting paid like X amount per month, yeah. And then it's just like seeing that, okay, cool, one job that I do could be like my whole month's salary. I'm just like, I got money. So then you just like, you do like 2 jobs and you spend all of that monthly salary on stupidness, because now you can.
Yeah.
And then it's easy to get used to a certain like level of lifestyle, and then it becomes a problem, because it's just like you get so impulsive with your spending, and then the moment you start to budget, it's just like it feels weird.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I've only now gone through the process of budgeting, like literally in the last, I'll say like 12 months.
Yeah. And how do you feel about that? Because
it's hard.
Okay.
It's really hard, because you want me to tell you, the thing is, I don't buy stupid stuff. Do you know what I look at the most?
What?
Camera equipment. Listen, I'm bad when it comes to camera equipment, but these are things that I need.
Yeah.
However, it's just one of those things where when you're in this kind of industry where you're always striving to be the best, and you want your content to look the best, you quickly become too accustomed to what you're using. You use it for a couple of shoots, and you're just like, I need something better. And it's like, the equipment's not cheap. And then it's like, you look and you're like, okay, cool, I've got this much. Okay, cool, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just buy it, because I know I'll make it back.
Mm-hmm.
But making it back could be 3 months. It could be 4 months. It could be 5 months. Whereas, why not just wait for those 4 or 5 months and then just buy it then?
Yeah.
Because then I'm now allocating budget to do that. You know?
Yeah. And maybe that's something to consider for next year. Like, give yourself like an actual allowance for your equipment. And sometimes you have to be strict as well. Like, actually, do we actually need it? I think sometimes it's kind of like, yes, you want to be up to date with everything, but actually, it's just like some of the phones we have. Like they make a couple of tweaks every year,
And people are getting them.
yeah, but do we actually need them?
No, we don't.
It? Yeah, but I think when you get to a certain point, you need it. Like
100%.
definitely, like
100%.
yeah.
Because I'm telling you, one of the things that I realized last year was the fact that, and it's just when I was talking to my accountant, I was just like, it's like you look at it and it's like, why am I spending so much money? And it basically becomes a cash flow issue.
Yeah.
Because it's like money comes in, you get excited, and then it's just like, okay, cool, let me just get that because you kind of get it now. The one thing that I've realized, for instance, in going forward into 2024, because of my team, we all use different equipment, and I just want to have one unified look.
Yeah.
But then it's kind of like thinking, okay, cool, what do I need to allocate so that I know that if anyone is going to be going on a shoot, okay, this is the one that you're going to use. I don't want anyone filming on anything else. I just want the quality to be the same across the board.
Yeah.
Because what ends up happening is it's like, you know, it's not going to have the same look. And there might be a client where I might have filmed something using my equipment, another person from the team's gone using their equipment, and it looks slightly different, and they might be accustomed to what mine looks like.
Yeah.
But again, this is something where I'm looking forward in the future, and everything in terms of like how I'm actually planning everything is to just create one sort of like unified look across the board. But for me, it's no rush to do so because no one's ever come to me and complained about that. So in my head, it's creating an issue that's not there.
Yeah.
It's more of what I want, not what's needed.
But I think it's, as a CEO of your company, I feel like those are the type of decisions that you need to be making because it makes sense as well. You don't want to have to deal with, why wait till the complaint happens before you make a move? So I think you're thinking on the right level, and I think it's good because you have to make those decisions and you have to think about these things. Like, especially when I first started, like I was very haphazard, like if I have an idea today, I want to implement it tomorrow, and actually it doesn't always work like that. Like things take time, you need to plan it, and that's another thing. I think something that I've learned is that I need to plan better. I can't be hasty, actually pushing back on things, putting in boundaries and things like that. No, I can't, that's not going to be possible. And I think that's key. Otherwise people can just think like they can just message you or you're always available. And I think it's good for your well-being as well. So
yeah, and I feel like even with everything, that's kind of like one of the main things for me, and burnout.
Yeah.
Because I've like this year already, I've burnt out twice.
Yeah.
You know, literally just recovered from that, and it's one of the main drivers behind like why I want to. Why not really why I want to, but why I've completely changed the way. And it's more from necessity, not for just the business, for longevity, but for myself.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you what, it's when you work in everything just being ad hoc, because you don't know how long it's going to be before the next one. You see 30 days, and if you have 15 clients willing to pay $1,000 you're going to take those 15 clients and figure it out later. So what ends up happening is that you will do a shoot, you'll be editing. While you're still editing, you've got another shoot, you do that. And then what happens, you just have this mad backlog where it's just like, okay, cool, you might do like 2 shoots in 1 week, but then you're going to spend the next week like finishing off those 2 projects edits. And then it now becomes like sort of like a conveyor belt. And it's just like, it just rolls throughout the whole year.
Yeah.
And you can't operate like that. And sometimes I feel like, even from sort of like the client side, all they care about is their project. They don't care about what's been done before. So they all think that, okay, cool, we've shot today, I expect it in 2 days' time.
In 24 hours.
Right, literally. Like, so it's kind of like, it can't work like that.
Yeah.
So it's even just thinking about creating something for longevity and being able to like say, look, I want to work with 4 clients per month, which is going to be more. And I don't need to be working with like loads and loads of clients. Like that part of my journey is gone. Like I don't need to. And I feel like this is the hardest part. And it's even to do with like the budgeting part, because I wouldn't say that I was operating out of like panic or like being scared, but I think subconsciously I was, because you don't know, okay, cool, when the next one's going to come. So let me just get everything now. And then you think, oh yeah, I could just take my foot off the gas for a little bit.
Nope.
Next month comes and you're like, do you know what? I might as well just keep going. And it just builds into this thing. And it's just like, I feel like with that, you lose the ability to actually think clearly.
Yeah.
Because you're just stressed.
Yeah, and as an entrepreneur, as a founder, as a CEO, whatever you want to call yourself, as a business owner, like, you need time to think as well. Like, you know, you have to be innovative, you have to be creative, you have to direct people and lead, because it's not just about you. I think when I first started, it was just about, I just wanted to make a bit of money, you know, basic. That was sort of my mindset. But actually, it's come a long way now, where we're hiring people. We've got staff, and you have to operate differently, because you need to keep them engaged. They need to know what's going on. And if you're just on this, let's figure it out along the way tip, like I said, I feel like you will only get so far with that, because as well, people want to know about their future as well, especially if other people are connected to what you're doing. It's like a child, in a sense. Like, yes, they're leaning on you, but they're an adult. They need to know, where are you taking me as well? Like, so yeah, I feel like, yeah, in this process of like me even leveling up, I'm having to think different. I'm having to shift my mindset. And like you said about the one, like, you rather have one client at, I don't know, 50K or whatever, than 12 clients paying 3K or whatever it is, you know, like, it's
just it's all about sustainability.
Yeah.
And I feel like the same thing transfers over into finances as well, because you see, if you continue to do things for the short term, even the way you think about money, and this is what I found, is that everything that I was thinking about is in the short term, this month.
Yeah.
And then the next month come and I'm thinking about this month.
Yeah.
And it's like, then you look back and you're like, okay, I didn't really need to go that hard. But you lose sight of, like, you know, further down the timeline.
Yeah.
And the main thing that I've struggled with this year is actually realizing that, look, bro, you're doing okay. It's fine, you know? And it's the only time it happens is when it comes, like, at this point of the year is when I start sending, like, any client that I've done, like, quite a lot of work with, because I know that their accountants are going to want, let's say if a client spent, like, over, like, 20 or 15K with me for the year, I will send them their statement, and it has all of their invoices attached, because I know that for their accounting periods and stuff, I'll just send it to them. They have it there. And it's only when I look at that and I realize, like, what I've done for the year, and I'm just like, bro, like, you could have just chilled out. You could have had, like, at least, like, 3-4 weeks off. But I haven't allowed myself that, because unfortunately the nature of the beast didn't allow me to do that, because it was a problem that I created in the first place.
Yeah.
So I had to find a solution. You know, and I feel like even when it comes to anything to do with, like, what you're doing, it's kind of like, this is what the problem is, but what is that solution? And it's just actually helping people to find that.
Yeah.
So that's why, for me, I have a lot of admiration, especially when I was doing when I came to the one at Greenwich, and people came into the room. They came into the room, and I could see. I don't know if you could see it, because obviously you were being interviewed, but it's like you could see people in terms of, like, before. And then when you start to share certain things about your story, and you can see, like, people actually relaxing, like, their shoulders, like, dropping and stuff, because they're like, oh, that's something I can relate to.
Yeah.
So it's like creating, as you said, creating that safe space. But I feel like it's hard for us as entrepreneurs to create a safe space for ourselves, because we're having to think about
everything. Yeah.
Then we have to think about ourselves. But we just think, nah, that doesn't matter for now. How is this going to look in that much, like, how many months, years time? And one of the biggest things that I had to do this year, like, and I've done it even while I was like, is looking at what I'm doing and realizing it's way bigger than me. And you see, like, that's the reason as well I had to just change the business name. Like,
so what is it called now?
CRE8UK Limited.
CRE8UK,
Yeah,
okay.
man. So
no more Roger Media.
Nah, no more Roger Media Limited. I've gone past that stage. I feel like at that point, I feel like it was just something very childish, because I just wanted to have something with my name. No, I'm being dead serious. But when I started, it wasn't really about making money. It was just about the passion of what I wanted to do. And it was only sort of like towards going through the year, and then COVID happened. It made me realize I need to pivot. At this point, I was already struggling with my job, getting paid like £1,500 a month for doing that, and I was a supervisor at the time. You know.
What was you doing?
So I was basically I was managing a team that did, like, data analytics. So they would download data from electric meters and stuff, and I was, like, installing, like, SIM cards into electric meters and like changing the modems and stuff. But I'll be driving up and down, talking 49 hours a week. Like, it was peak. it was peak. And it got to the point where like my managers and stuff were just making me feel incompetent. And I was like, something needs to change. I just couldn't catch a break. And I was just like, the only thing that I can do, and this is the biggest thing, is you think that in order to solve the problem, you need to make more money. But when you make more money, it actually makes the problem worse.
Can do, yeah.
Because if you haven't got good habits, which at the time I didn't, and I was basically being punished for my bad spending habits before.
Yeah.
Because my relationship with money started so late in life, like my spending habits it was wild. I'd be buying dumb stuff, like, and it was just like, now I was paying for it, like, big time.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I was like in my 30s, and I'm just like, bro, you can't do anything, like no savings, no nothing. And the little bit of savings that I did have, I already got scammed out of it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So coming into now doing like everything in the business, it's like you're coming into it again. You learn from people. You still have all of these bad spending habits.
Yeah.
And I think it was one time when we were in I think we were doing like that Zoom live, and I remember you like going over certain things, and it was one of them things that really stood out to me. What was it? I think it's you asked someone, or you were talking about spending personality.
Okay, yeah, the different mindsets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when it made me like really think, like, what is my spending personality?
Yeah.
And I realized, for me, I was just a habitual spender.
Yeah.
That was literally it. Like, it was actually a habit.
Yeah.
It's not that I felt the need to spend. I just had to spend because, like, the moment something comes in, cool, let me just buy something.
Yeah.
I didn't need it.
Yeah.
And I had to change that. And that's one of the biggest things I'm struggling with, even up until this day. I wouldn't say struggling with, but it's something that I have to fight. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm always fighting it, because this has been like my most successful year in business, yeah? And
no, it's important to like celebrate it, because you know where you were before. And I remember when you were just transitioning. So it's nice to see how you've grown and telling me about all the successes that you've had. It's nice to see, and I wish you the best. Like I pray it keeps going in that direction.
But I think it was the most important thing for me though is that even when we done our live on Instagram, like that was like for me again another pivotal point, because it's just like even just speaking about like things that people didn't speak about, like even like going through depression and stuff. This stuff is real, you know.
Yeah.
And a lot of the depression does come from finances, because I feel like people don't realize that. You see, if you like, depending on how you look at your finances, people look at it as like your worth. As in, like, your literal worth.
Yeah. People attach how much money they have with their self-worth. And that's a very dangerous place to be in. And you've said so much, from, you spoke about scamming to money personalities to, like, that's a negative experience that you've had. And these are the things that we talk about because they can hold you back. And I'm really glad that it hasn't actually held you back. It takes a lot to even say that. Like, most people wouldn't say that. And actually, sometimes if you're not aware of it, it stops you. Like, because that could stop you from, because that's happened to you, you may not want to work with anyone again, or you just may not trust people again. And that then can stop you from moving forward in your business. So, and it does for many people. And so it's important that you talk, you let it go, or do whatever process that you need to do to let it go. Like, even with me, I sometimes experiencing burnout is actually, you have to be forced, because if someone told you chill, you wouldn't listen.
Yeah.
When I remember one time I had this big event. It was my biggest event at the time. Like, and I was so stretched, I collapsed like in my home, and I have tiles. Like, it's not good to collapse on my floor. And I just remember just laying on the floor once I had like gained a bit of consciousness, like, and I just knew something, it's not, like, I'm doing too much. And sometimes these things force you to make changes. Yeah. I've experienced it twice in business now, where for me I've had burnout. And when I was reflecting, I was thinking, couldn't no one tell me you're doing too much? But I would never listen to them. I was obsessed, and I still am obsessed, but obsessed in a different way, because it's not healthy if you're working nonstop. Like, I would miss, and I think some things you do need to change in terms of, it's not that you should go to everything, but there were some things that I missed, and I probably would rather have not missed it, actually, because sometimes you need to be around your family. There's something they're your family for a reason. There's something that your business friends can't do, or you need to be around your family and friends. And I think sometimes we can just get into that zone of work. We're building something, we need to focus, and you do need to focus, but it's important that you do spend time with family, that well-being piece that we are now talking about a bit more. But yeah, you've spoken about so much, and it's good that you know who you are, or the personality that you had. There's nothing wrong with being a spender. We need spenders. We need the economy to go round. We need you.
Them habitual.
Yeah.
You know what? Like what I was thinking about. Yeah, there's an analogy. What's his name? Charlie Murphy. Oh man, he was so funny. But he used to do these skits, right? And there was one with Rick James, right? I'm gonna send it to you later. You're gonna laugh. And he said that Rick James was a habitual line stepper, right? So he knows that something's bad, but he will always just step the line to see what the reaction would be. And it was kind of like, I felt like I was just playing roulette with my spending.
Yeah.
And that was dangerous, you know.
Yeah, but what would you buy? What would you say is like your worst, or not your worst, but one of the, on reflection, you probably, obviously the camera one was.
Oh, that was painful.
Yeah.
Like that one hurt.
Yeah.
Like proper hurt. I'd say the biggest one for me, yeah, because I remember at the time, like I was sick with crypto. Like I was making a killing with crypto, because like that's my stuff, right? And I made the mistake, yeah. Because before I used to always have like what's called like a cold wallet. So basically you have like a cold wallet, which is like you can store all your funds on that. It's protected. It's not online. And the only way to access it is, and you plug it in, this, that, the other. And there was a company, I think how much, I lost quite a bit actually on this one. And it was literally, I transferred the majority of my holdings to a new exchange, and it went down. It wasn't like a scam thing. It was just the fact that and it was based in America. So once the SEC starts involving stuff, everything, bang, gets frozen, and you have no access back to it. I think it's probably, in retrospect, it's not really a lot, but at the time, it was a lot. But luckily, some of the money that I was in there, I did make some money back from, and I used that to invest back into the business anyways, you know? So it wasn't a complete loss. Mm-hmm. But the one thing I used to buy was like, if I would do research on some crypto thing, like if I could see the trajectory of where I think it's going to go, due diligence at that point is just like, once I've made my mind, I would spend it.
Yeah, you can't.
Like, it's gone.
Yeah.
Like, my mind's made up. Like, so it doesn't matter how much I will try, and I will try to talk myself out of it. Yeah. And while I'm talking myself out of it, I'm putting in my details.
As fast as possible.
That's my worst thing. Like, investments and bad investments like that, when you look for the shortcuts, especially when it comes to money, you make a hell of a mistake and you lose so much money.
Yeah.
But that was my biggest, like habitual spending, was buying like what I thought were assets, when in fact all it was doing is just gambling.
Yeah, I was just about to say, do you know what what your mindset was? Is gambler.
Yeah,
that's the mindset.
I'm a risk taker.
yeah, and to be fair, I have those traits as well. Like, I may not be going and putting £1,000 on a roulette, black or red, but even with me, I've put everything into this business. Like everything I've had, you know. And that's a big risk. That's all or nothing.
Yeah, literally. It's like literally like you just put all your chips in.
Yeah.
You know
See what happens.
Cool.
I trust it. I've got intuition.
And you just close your eyes and just hope for the best, and you just peeking and you just dropping and like, oh no, it'll be fine. Yeah. Come back like two days later, nothing's there. Clean up.
Or you have a big win and you're just like, but it's such a high that
listen. That dopamine hit is crazy, yo. I think one time I put it on my Instagram story. That there was a token that I knew I was gonna blow way before anybody. So I put like 4 bills on it, and then I made back like, I think it's like $3,000. And I think I put it on my Instagram story, and people were like, "Raw, how you find this?" Don't watch that, man. Like, I was feeling like I was the guy. I was feeling like I was the guy, like at one point, my crypto account, I think I had like 24 grand in there. And I used to take pride in just like opening it up. Like, you know, like I'm not even joking. Like people would come over to the house, yeah, and for no reason, I would like just open it up and have it there. Like, just chilling. I was gassed because I was like, look, yeah, don't. And this is when I was still working. And I feel like I've made a hell of a lot of mistakes when it comes to money. Loads of mistakes. But it's like, I have to then look back and think, what could I have done different? What did I learn? And then that's why now, like all my habitual spending, that demon's still there, you know. It knocks on the door like a few times. Like even this week, I've had to stop myself buying some dumb stuff. Well, it's not dumb stuff. It's just stuff I don't need right now, you know. And I'm just like, if this was like 2 years ago,
you would have bought it.
I would have bought it. And if it was impatient me, that's the other thing. Impatient. There's so many things, especially when it comes to finances and business. And I feel like everything's all intertwined. And that's why I feel like, for me, the admiration comes from seeing kind of like the effect that you have on people indirectly as well. Because even just listening to you talking about stuff with your, well, let's say in your workshops and even just stuff online, it's like, it really makes me reflect and think to myself, bro, like, you know what, that makes sense, you know? And I feel like a lot of the stuff that you talk about, that's what got me into reading. It got me into reading. So like, that's when I went through the whole of like Robert Kiyosaki's books. I've gone through the whole Rich Dad Poor Dad series. I've gone through like a lot. Then even like the latest book I'm reading now is Get Your Money Right by E-Man. And it's just like, it's really helping to like change that, because I feel like one of the things that you talk about a lot is your relationship with money.
Yeah.
And it's just like, how do you make that better?
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of the stuff for me, because I've come from a place of like low self-esteem in a sense, and it's just like working on that, because I feel like that gets replaced. You know, you start to earn and you feel like, okay, cool, I need to make myself feel better, or it's kind of like trying to boost your own self-esteem, not realizing that there's something a bit deeper than that. So I feel like just trying to fix or just work on me and like certain habits that I've built up. It's just, how do you break that? Or it's not even break it, it's just how do you control it? If you can control it, one of the things that I've read, especially like even in E-Man's book, is like, you have to be disciplined when it comes to it. And even a video you put online the other day, which is it was like, you know, like one of them nail on the head things, like not even nail, it's a mallet there. And it's just like, look, it's like you got two choices. It's either you can choose to be, you know, people look for the instant gratification, but if you choose delayed gratification, everything that you're thinking about doing now, you could do it so much more. Yeah. Just by delaying it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think for me, it's kind of getting to the core of the person, of why they want to do it. Because people know what they need to do. Don't be fooled.
100%.
You know you shouldn't have bought that, or people know, but there's something inside of you that once you've tapped into it, you will want to budget. You will want to make a difference. You'll want to make a difference. And it doesn't mean you're going to be always perfect. No, you know, you do have cheat days. At the moment, I'm super busy. I haven't been organising my food. I'm taking out quite a lot. Like, I know I shouldn't really be doing it, but actually, instead of setting myself up to fail, when I'm in peak season, I'm not going to have the realities. I'm not going to have time to cook. So do I now factor that in? It's important because, like, most people think, when you think about money, it's about restricting yourself. It's about, you know, all of this sort of stuff. It's there to trap you. No, it's there to support your goals, your dreams, to get you to where you need to be. And so, yeah, you need to understand who you are financially. Like, first of all, you know, for me, I now, and listen, I wasn't always like this, even though I worked in finance, I've studied, you know, I wasn't always like this, but now I have a bigger purpose. It's so important to me. Like, even before I take on a project now, let's get to I want to see the numbers, because it needs to make sense. Mm-hmm. There's some projects I won't even touch now, because it then doesn't become.
Don't even try to swim it. Jeez. Like,
okay, I'll take it. But it's just true. But you have to have that, and it's not to say, I wouldn't. Sometimes I'd rather just do something for free, if you know what I mean, rather than take on what I can't manage or it doesn't make sense. So, yeah. So, Yeah. So for me, yeah, it's just about, yeah, does it make sense? Is this in alignment with where I'm going? And you have to make those decisions. Even cutting away from working with individuals to corporates and community groups and was hard because I was so used to working with individuals. I was so used to how the money came, and then even just shifting my mindset. Like, listen, it takes time to onboard a corporate, and on top of it, they take time to pay.
Mm-hmm.
So even that, your cash flow needs to be on point, like, as well. So you need to learn how to manage your money, because you could get a big chunk, but that needs to stretch for a period of time. And so, yeah, it's just understanding that the bigger purpose, like why is this important for me? And I think it's important as well. Yeah, they always say, you know, you should know your why, but I just say, what are you doing this for? Just keep it simple. Like, what are you doing? Okay, I'm doing this because I want a different lifestyle. But here's the thing as well. People say they want it. This is the big thing. They say, I want to do this, or they like the idea. And I'll give you an example. Like, I used to work with Netflix, and people will say, oh, they're just blown away by the fact that I work there. The company is a fantastic brand. And actually, it's actually really good working on their film sets. And, you know, the relationship that I had, I was still somewhat, I could choose projects, and it was more me. I actually liked working there. And if I weren't doing this, I'd probably still be there, but I feel this is my purpose. And you know, you might, like, I remember I went to this event and some guy was like, yeah, but why would you leave? He couldn't process I had left. And I'm like, I have a bigger calling. Like, but he didn't get it. He didn't understand it. And so people, because of the name, because of the brand, they will want to work there. People like the idea of something, because the reality of it was, when I worked in the film and TV industry, I had a 4-hour round trip, 2 hours there, 2 hours back, but I wanted to work. I was willing to do whatever it took. And so that grit, so I say that to say, people say they want to get out of debt, they say they want to have savings, they say they want another lifestyle. They don't. They like the idea of it, because it's going to take something in order to change that. And so how badly do you want it? If you really want it, you will make changes. And I think people have to be real with themselves and just say, actually, I don't want it that badly.
Right, you know, that's mad, you know. It's true, because you know what, yeah? People get comfortable, you know, like, there's getting comfortable being uncomfortable, but to actually, like, live in that situation, and you've been living in that kind of situation for years, it now becomes your norm. So it's just like, what happens? Like, people think, you know, it ain't even all that bad.
Yeah. They start making excuses. It's excuses.
And I feel like one of the things for me now, sort of like in kind of like, to wrap it up, it's like, I've realized, especially when it comes to that, because a lot of to do with my journey now is when it comes to like the money, but also the business. I've realized before it was more about chasing the money rather than creating solutions.
So you would chase the money before, but now
it's all about the solution.
Yeah.
And this is why CRE8UK now exists, because in trying to create a solution for myself, I've created something that can benefit all businesses. And that's the sweetest one, you know.
Look at your face.
Now it's crazy because do you know what? Like, we've had so many conversations anyways, do you understand? Like, at different points along the journey. And even like to see how certain things grow. Even like when you were talking about the stuff with the council, and, you know, from the initial part of that, and I was gassed when you landed it, because I was just like, I know you put hours into doing that. And I just feel like the journey is more important than the destination. Yeah. And before, I was more focused on the destination. And when you're so focused on the destination, you know it's there, but because you're not focused on the journey, you don't know how you're going to get there.
Yeah.
Same thing with your money. It's like, before it was just like, okay, cool, I need to make this.
Yeah.
All I'm focusing on is making this, but then it's like, what am I going to do with it?
And even that, I remember someone bought me this plaque thing saying that, like, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey, something along those lines. But if that really pierces your soul, when you actually realize that, it will change your life. Just 100%. That quote in itself 100%. Is insane, because it's so true. We're always focused on getting out of debt or it's making X amount in our business or getting the house or whatever the goal is for you. And then sometimes it comes like that and it's going to come so quickly that you don't even appreciate it.
If you had to just close out and say one thing to help people on their financial journey, what would it be?
I think just being honest with yourself. I think you need to have an honest conversation, like, and be real with where you're at. So if you're in debt, I'm in debt. If you've got no savings, you've got no savings. If you have savings, you have savings. If if you've got investments, you've got investments. Like, but if you like your job, you like your job. Like, kind of somewhat an audit of, am I happy with where am I? And am I happy with it, and what needs to change? And I really believe once you do that, you're just being real. It is what it is. What can you do? This is my situation, but it doesn't mean you have to stay that way. I think you can change at any point. And then kind of just knowing what you want, like what you really want, not what sounds good, like what you really want, what you will get out of your bed for, or you'll like. This is a Saturday night. Let's be real. And we're filming a podcast. Like, that's not normal in a sense. Like, that's the corporate me. That's not normal. You enjoy yourself on the weekends. And so when you're so passionate about something, you don't even, it's just your life. Because you're enjoying the journey. And so, yeah, this for me was like a fun thing to do, actually. You might kind of see it as sad.
For me, it's fun because... You know what? Like, there's a quote, and I'll never forget this, right? People tend to use the weekend to get away from the life that they don't like, right?
Yeah, that's true.
I use the weekend to create the life that I want.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons as well, the big catalyst for my change...
That was just like a moment. Say that again. Like...
People use the weekends to get away from the life that they don't like.
But
I use the weekend to create the life that I want.
Yeah.
Right? And
Powerful. The
main thing for me is the fact that every day, 7 days a week, I'm doing stuff for other people. And I find that I stopped enjoying content creation. Yeah. But now, me doing this is doing stuff that I want to do.
Yeah, good.
So it brings back the enjoyment in doing stuff for me.